final time in 2016. It will be next week on the team sheet, out Will Balm. But before we get rid of him, we better say hello to him. G'day.
Andrew, thank you. It's a sad day, but great to be back on the Tragics.
I was expecting a bit more of a louder jumper than you've gone with. That's probably pretty standard for you.
Well, it's nice. It's a nice winter jumper. You don't want to go too out there on the last show.
Nick Armistead, great to have you on board again.
Andrew, thank you for having me.
And Brenton Mann, looking forward to hearing what you have to tell us about the divisions.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm looking forward to auditioning Will's replacement. We've been shortlisted and we're doing those during the week.
Well, let's get straight into it. We're at the halfway point of the season and we'll start again with the performance plays of the week. And I'm going to kick things off, guys. This video has been seen over 26,000 times on the VAFA's Facebook page. It's been reached over 90,000 people, breaking all sorts of records. Al Armstrong kicking a goal from the 50-metre arc, intersecting the boundary line to tie things up at Old Trinity. And don't the OM boys love it? Unbelievable scenes there.
And the commentary was just as good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Always good when you've got a close game and a finish. And Crooksy's the best in the business when it comes to VAFA commentary. And he's nailed the call there in that particular game.
There's a young fella called Andrew Leonard that gives him a run for it.
Just hasn't been seen in the commentary circles. I think I'm back in round 10 for those fans out there. But yeah, 26,000 views. That would take us a full season of VAFA Tragics to get that many views. So, but we thank you all for watching every week. Who was your performance player of the week?
I'm going down to Division 3 for my performance player of the week, and Alston Wick's Justin Hunter. Now, Alston Wick haven't had the best start to the season. They're 2-7 at the halfway mark, but Justin Hunter has kicked 38 goals. Now, in there, they lost by 104 points to Powerhouse, and he kicked 4 on the weekend. So, congratulations, Justin Hunter. You're my performance player of the week.
Will?
Maybe Al Armstrong should take over the hot seat. We might get some more views. And
maybe he's bringing the views to the table with 26,000 views. Yeah.
Absolutely. But moving on to the performance play, I went to under-19 Premier this week, and the Blacks pulled off a miracle win. They were 30 points down. Big Ed King kicked 2 goals, and they won by a goal over the Blues. Well done to the Blacks.
I'll go Div 3 as well, and it was Latrobe's Mitchell Gleeson, who's bagged 5 on the weekend in their win over Canterbury. He has 30 for the year, and he's starting to really warm up as the weather cools.
Very good. That's the performance players of the week. We'll get straight into William Buck Premier action from the weekend. I did mention, of course, the Old Trinity and OM's draw. More tight games continue. Nick will tell us about that game in just a moment. But I had a look at at University Blues and St Kevin's, and it was the Blues with 2 goals, 16, 28, defeating St Kevin's. 3 goals, 9-27 in torrid conditions all around the VAFA on the weekend, but Blues were able to, through the return of Cam Williams in the ruck, an important player for them back in the side after not playing since round 3, and Pete Summers, a former star of the VAFA as well, and at Sandringham in the VFL, he made his return to the side for his first game of the year. They kicked the only 2 goals for Blues, and they were important in the win, but Cunningham again featured well. Paddy Hayes did a great job as well. St Kevin's, importantly, make the turn at 4-5, which we said a couple of weeks ago, I think when they were 0-4 at the start of the year, if they can turn 4-5, that'd be a good result. I would have thought, given their form in recent weeks, they'd be unhappy with 4-5 in the end, and probably should have turned 5-4.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hear James Strauss is out for a couple of weeks with a back injury. So the injuries always creep up on you in the winter months, of course. But losing the Blues, who are pretty much on par in terms of their win rate. Now the Blues go to 6-3 now, I believe. And that game, well, it's a crucial result for St Kevin's and a couple of games off the pace.
Defensively, though, the Blues are unbelievable. I've got here, in their past 5 games, they've been decided by 4.3 points. And their last 3 wins, their average winning margin is 3.2 wins. So they're not kicking massive scores, but as they have done all year, they're getting it done.
It goes to the closeness of the games again that we've spoken about. But just back on St Kevin's, we've seen how impressive they can be. But I still think at 4-5, they're in 8th spot, and anyone from 1 to 8 is a chance, you'd have to say, at this stage of the year. I reckon St Bernard's and Old Carey, I think they're not a chance to make finals, and St Bernard's and probably maybe struggling to even avoid relegation at this stage. Obviously very early. Going early here, like to not sit on the fence. But
so how many
St Kevin's, 2 games out of the 4. I reckon they're a long way back still at 4. But that means they have to go the second half of the year 7-2, sorry, out of their 9 games.
So you think they need to win 7 of their 9 games to guarantee themselves finals?
To guarantee, I reckon you need 11 wins, and maybe you get in because of the closeness of the year with 10 wins this year into September action. But 7 7-2 is a hard effort to go in the second half of the year. It leaves yourself a lot of work to do.
Especially
For
when-
that reason, same thing for Zavs. I reckon Zavs are in the same boat.
Especially when the comp is so close. Like you've got obviously Bernards and Old Carey down the bottom, but there's, as you said, from 1 to 8, it's so tight, and anyone can beat anyone on any given day. But you can't guarantee getting 7-2, 6-3 in the second half of the year. I think they've left themselves a little bit too much to do, but I guess time will tell.
Nick, you had a look at the Old Trinity and Old Melburnians game. A classic finish to the game with 10 seconds left. We've already shown the goal. We'll show it again, I'm sure, in this highlights package.
We definitely will. It was an old-fashioned slog down at Daily Oval, given the torrid conditions that you mentioned. With Old Trinity controlling most of the play, especially for the first 3 quarters. They led by 10 points at 3-quarter time. But early goals to Lockie Prendergast and Stu Watson gave the OMs the lead 6 minutes into the fourth. But Luther Jurek, who has actually played exceptionally well in the past month for Old Trinity, put them back in front before that goal that we've talked about already. Al Armstrong, 26,000 views worth of it. Put them back in, tied the game, and gave them 2 points that they probably didn't think for 3 quarters that they would actually get. Some points to note, this goes without saying, but Al Armstrong is probably the clutch player of William Buck in the Premier. He's the clutch man. He kicked the last second goal to tie the game, but in round 6 against the Zaz, he kicked a late goal, and they only won by 2 points in that game. So he's proven he's got cold blood running through those veins. And I thought Mal Mitras in Premier C was clutch, but I think Al Armstrong might just have him. The Tees can play in any weather. Now, they're fleet-footed and often use the wide expanses of Daily Oval to their advantage, which we've seen last year especially, and again this year. But in those conditions, they prove that they can slog it out in these wintry conditions. And if it is like this at any stage in the finals, you would still back them. You would still back them in. They don't need those beautiful conditions to actually win. But they haven't won since round 6. They've lost top place on the ladder after this weekend, so I don't know if they'd be concerned about that heading into the break, if that's coming at a good time for them.
It's not a terrible time to have a little bit of a down year. You're not going to be up for the whole time, and middle of the year, it's starting to get this next month of football is when it really starts to heat up. Like they've had a little bit of a down. Now they want to bounce back this week. They don't want to be a trend, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to have a bit of a down year. You get to learn about yourself a bit more. Sometimes you learn more from losses and draws, obviously, than you do from wins. So I don't think it's too drastic at this stage.
Quickly to the other games, Old Carey went down to Uni Blacks. Carey now have lost their first 9 games of the year, which is the worst start to a William Buck Premier season since Caulfield Grammarians in 2012. Of course, Carey went 1-8 in the first half of the year back in 2014, I believe it was. 13 it was, when they last exited William Buck Premier. Collegians beating Old Zavarians. They just keep on keeping on, Collegians. Low scoring, though, continues to be a burden for them. Only 7 goals, 6 this week, but they still were good enough to hold the Zaz to 5-6-36. A good win for them. The regular names there, Apted, Scott, Middleton, Pemberthy, all amongst the best there for Collegians. St Bernard's, as we mentioned, went down to De La Salle. They're wedged in the bottom 2, and at this stage I can't see them getting out, guys. Going down only by 10 points. They have been losing by small margins, but at the same time, you've got to start banking 4 points at some stage.
Yeah, crucial return for De La Salle as well, with Ed Clinch kicking 3 and returning to the best there. And as a small forward, it's very important that guys like that, on days like that, kick a few goals.
News out of the game for De La Salle, though, and I'm sure it'll make an impact on the Big V squad, Nick, was the injury to Anthony Ferraro.
Yeah, huge. After we gave him an absolute rev up last week in his return from Richmond, excuse me, he went down with a hamstring injury. We don't know the extent of it just yet, and whether that plays a part in his Big V selection for this weekend, we can't yet tell, but hopefully it's nothing too serious.
We'll have all those news and headlines from Nick just after this quick break, and also the latest update from the Big V squad.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Let's get now to the headlines with Nick Armistead.
Thank you, Andrew. The Big V squad was cut to 32 earlier today ahead of their weekend clash against the Sarful at Trevor Barker Oval. With two training sessions still to come, the final side will be released on Thursday night via VAFA Media. The match will be covered by 96.5 Inner FM and live stream with said commentary on the VAFA website. After reporting his impending return 4 weeks ago, Old Trinity captain and 2-time Woodrow medalist Brendan Yetzi returned via the reserves against Old Melburnians over the weekend for his first game since round 8 last year. Speaking with Brendan earlier today, he said his knee had pulled up fine in the wake of his return match, and he will now reassess over the next 2 weeks to see how long he will spend in the reserves before coming back. But he believes it'll most likely be round 11 versus University Blacks. Thick and Thin round will return for its second consecutive year in the VAFA, with clubs set to wear blue-coloured football socks in round 16 to help raise awareness of men's mental health issues and normalise concerns by encouraging teammates to start a conversation. Led by VAFA players Scott Sherwin and Simon Hogan, Thick and Thin's awareness campaign raised over $1,800 last year for Headspace, and more importantly gave young men in the VAFA encouragement to speak about their concerns. And that's it for this week's headlines.
Well, thanks for that, Nick. We better just take a quick look at the Big V squad. You've got that up on the screen there. I've gone through it. I reckon I'm going to try and have a crack at the team here, Nick, if that's all right. Not sure if you... We'll put the graphic up on the screen of my team from the final 32 here. Obviously, Ferrado, I've got him out at the moment based on that potential injury. I've also haven't found a room for Will Johnson from Collegians, Jack Vickers from De La Salle, John Dagian from Old Scotch, Polydorus misses from Old Trinity, Clay Johnston from Zaz misses, Garside from St Bede's Mentone, and Dylan Jones and Kelvin Williams from St Kevin's both miss for me. But the rest of the team you can see there in the side. Snuck Mangoni in the pocket there. Pretty happy with that selection. And I reckon despite him coming in late to the squad, Andrew Sloan from Old Kerry probably misses in favour of Hugh Vickers-Willis, who was also the late inclusion to take up that fullback spot. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Sloan in there if he did make it.
I'm surprised to see that you've left Will Johnson out there from Collegians. He has been in first-class form for the Lions all year off the back flank. And I think I'm a bit disappointed in that. I think he'd be a bit disappointed.
Look, it's only an opinion, and as we say on this show, we've all got them, and you'd either choose to listen to them or agree with them, or you might disagree with them. And if you don't, well, bad luck. You can look at Will's shirt and have a laugh instead.
What I do love, before you move on, what I do love is that little man you've got down in the forward pocket there.
Mango.
Sammy
Gus, yeah, got him on a flank at the moment. He could obviously switch between the four. The other one I like is Jordan Quayle. I reckon he makes the squad as well. The final squad from Uni Blacks. He's been a live wire for a couple of seasons now, and good to see him getting recognition as well. Tom Dean from Beaumaris also in the side, on my side at least.
I agree. I agree with 95% of it.
95%. Yeah.
On to Premier B. Fitzroy are in the 4, which is a great result for them. They beat the Vultures.
They did indeed, down at Brunswick Street Oval, becoming a bit of a fortress for the Fitzroy Football Club. They got up by 23 points and they controlled the proceedings for most of the day. Great goal here in the first term by Julian Turner, clutch goal in the wet. Again, it was a miserable day, but Fitzroy, they have a bit of grit about them, so I think they love the wet conditions, and hopefully they love my shirt. The last 5 games, they've beaten Parkdale, Monash, Brighton and Hampton, have drawn with Beaumaris. So that form line suggests that they will probably come in the top 4, early days, but I think they'll come in the top 4. But the question is, can they threaten Scotch, St Bede's, and of course knock off Beaumaris? Lambert kicked 2 goals, Bassetto kicked 2 goals, and Jason Bristow was best on for Parkdale.
So how much do you rate one player's importance in a Premier B or in the VAFA to a side? I was looking today, when they lost those first 4 games, their captain and last year's Premier B medalist, Rory Angio-Lala, did his calf, I believe, in the first game, came back in round 5, and they've not lost since then, as you just said. So how important is he to their structures?
Well, Angela, as we know, is a very tough midfielder. Hasn't been in their best the past few weeks, so whether he's just getting back to form.
Coach is playing games, so they don't pull
that's right,
exactly.
Exactly. But yeah, maybe he's just evened out their temperament, and you always feel settled when your best player in the side is back in the team.
Beaumaris got back on got back to their winning best with a 56-point win over Ajax. Hampton Rovers went down to Old Scotch by 95 points at Boss James Reserve. So things looking dicey for the Rovers in terms of their want to stay in Premier B. They've been up and down a couple of times in the last couple of years. Monash Blues beat Old Brighton. Old Brighton struggling now in the bottom 2 as well, just on the 2 wins thus far. And Old Haileybury also going down to St Bede's Mentone Tigers. A bit of a gap opened up in Premier B. The Roy's hanging on to 4th spot, but only just by the 2 points of that draw they had with Beaumaris, whilst the top 3 are head and shoulders above the rest at this stage of the season. Premier C, Old Ivanhoe going on their winning ways, back at Chelsworth Park beating Camberwell Grammarians.
That's right, and it shows that we all have short-term memories, because Old Ivanhoe lost to Oakley last week, and now they come out to beat Caulfield, maybe the form side in the comp, minus Mazenot by 3 points. Now they were down by 9 points with as little as 5 minutes left, so it was a huge effort. Looking at it, it probably was Ivanhoe's bigger bodies that got them over the line in the end. I mean, Again, I'm going to mention Bruno, Mitras in his 100th game, and the Del Monte brothers, who combined for 7 goals. Adrian kicked 5, including the match winner at the 28-minute mark here. So you can't, obviously, right now, the form line of Caulfield is they've lost this game, and I still think they're the second best side in the comp, but Ivanhoe, you can't write them off. It's probably between those three, with Peninsula sort of dropping back a little bit.
Pirates had a good win as well. I'm
They did
excited
against
about
Camberwell.
the Pirates there. Wins also for Q, and Mazenot, of course, undefeated, and Oakley had a good win over Ormond in that those bottom spots there, which is important. Brenton, the division report, it's an important part of the VAFA. Old Mentonians, though, they're not going so well.
Yeah, we did discuss this, that they needed to have when they lost their first. It wasn't ideal when they lost their second, but when they lose their third in a row after flying early in the year, that was not ideal at all. They lost by 44 points to Old Geelong, with our man Jorge Burberry, who will feature in the Big V squad and represent the divisions, kicking 5 and absolutely dominating. He's flying for Old Geelong.
You've locked him in.
And I'll lock him in. I don't know if the powers that be will lock him in. That's their choice, and they have their favourites, and sometimes they lock them in. But Old Mentonians fall from first spot to third, as Pegs are the new number 1 team in Division 1 after their 6-point win over Therry. Now, Therry dropped out of the 4. We did discuss this on the 4Qs last week, and just
4Qs coming up soon
4Qs
as well.
coming up soon. We'll pump up that segment. Now, Div 1, we've got 2 teams on the top locked on 28 points at 7 and 2, and 4 teams locked on 6 and 3. It's tied at the top. It's absolutely fantastic division, and a testament to those sides. Now, we've got Therry and Ivanhoe just out of the 4 at 5th and 6th position. Div 2, St John's remain undefeated with a 20-point win over West Brunswick, which we can't discount. I know I like to pump up St John's on this show, but you can't discount their form line. But familiar territory, but after speaking to their coach during the week, they've made a few changes from last year. As we know, they went straight sets out of the finals after a similar start to the year. The wheels really did come off, but I've got faith in them this year, and I haven't wandered down to Thomas Carroll as of yet, but I might have to make it down the second half.
Now
of the
leading in
year.
the city, it's a bit too far. Travel down to Dandenong for a
And
young
also
Brenton.
in Div 2, we had Eltham with their first win of the year with a 35-point win over the Snakes. The Richmond Central boys didn't like it up at Eltham. It would have been cold, wet, damp, probably a few kangaroos floating around on Eltham Reserve. Div 3, Latrobe. We pumped up Latrobe. Theo's Fish and Chips at Latrobe. They must have got down there and have a little bit of a meal during the
happy
week.
to take any meal
Because
vouchers.
Latrobe is flying. We should, division report maybe sponsored by Theo's Fish and Chips. That'd be fantastic. Latrobe 65-point win over Canterbury, who have lost 5 in a row after winning their first 4 of the season. I'm not sure what's going on down at the Cobras, but they're in a trough and they need to fight their way out of it, which is not fantastic. Div 4, Mount Lilydale solidified their spot in the top 4 in a crucial game against North Brunswick, where they won by 15 points, and that rounds out the division report.
Thank you very much, Brenton. You've all been waiting for it. It's a new segment we've added to the Tragics, and it's the 4 Qs, the 4 questions. We'll kick things off. Nick, maybe you can open the batting for us tonight.
Thank you. Mine is for you, and you should ask. There has been a poll up on the VAFA website for the last 3 weeks. It's got about 7 candidates on it. Who do you think...
Will Balm. Oh, sorry. What's the poll?
Best dressed of the Tragics.
Worst dress. I thought it was.
Who do you think will captain the Big V against the Sarful this weekend?
It's a really good question. Looking through that squad of names, let's just go to the squad again. I really like the look of Tom Paul, or possibly even a Sam Williams from De La Salle. They're probably my leading contenders at this stage. Matty Hanley, of course, has had the job before in the past. I think he's the only. Vic as well as, of course, skippers his side. Tom Dean skippers his side, so they'd be chances as well. But yeah, I'd say probably out of Tom Paul, former Spirit of the Big V winner, and Sam Williams as well has been in great form.
Excellent. That's all I wanted to hear.
All right, very good. Brenton, you can go have a crack.
I'll ask Nick this question. The media man at the VAFA. Who of the undefeated sides will remain that way by the end of the home and away season? Now, I'll read them out. We have Mazenod, Beaumaris, St John's, Hawthorn, Glen Ira and Westbourne Grammarians. Who will remain that way? Who is the best chance of remaining undefeated by the end of the home and away season?
Well, I'm going to play the odds.
Yes.
There are 2 teams in Division 3. So I'm going to go either Hawthorn or Glen Ira. So whoever wins between those 2, I think they're playing next weekend after the bye.
Ooh, big game.
Huge game, and I'm
So how have they not played each other yet? Just the way that
12
Watkins
teams. It's 12 teams
Oh,
in
of
Division
course,
3.
yeah.
very good.
So they play each other once?
So I'm going to go with Hawthorn. I believe will remain undefeated. I think they play Rathmines, as I said before on this show, better than most teams play any ground. And I think it'll take a lot to knock them off. So they'll be the undefeated team.
All right. Who would you say?
I'll go St John's. I'll stick with the home club. St John's.
Westbourne Guerreros for me.
Agree.
Will, your question?
Now a question about Oakley. Their turnaround in Premier C, very solid. They've won 2 on the trot. Can Oakley make the finals in Premier C, Andrew?
No.
It's quick.
There we go.
Like, there you go.
No,
To
they
the
can't.
point.
No, they can't.
Is it too exhausting for a side to go from about 2-6, 2-7 to come back and storm home to make
I
the
think
finals?
so. I think it's a weird little middle patch of the year where teams are dropping games they should and
Yeah.
other teams are getting wins. So, no. My question for you, Will, is can Q make the finals in Premier C?
Absolutely. I think they can. Their performance against Williamstown was very strong. And a few players to come back. And I think Peninsula are looking a little bit shaky, so they could squeeze in a 4th.
And a subsequent question, this has come through from London. They want to know, are the Shepherd's Bush Raiders, the Wandsworth Demons or the Putney Magpies the best place to sign your signature when you travel over to London?
I've actually emailed the North London, I don't know their nickname,
Wildcats.
North London, the Wildcats, so I think I might travel over there and play some footy.
Very good.
Talk me out of it if you want, North
That's
London.
the 4 Qs. It's the last time we'll hear it, sadly, as Will Balme departs this show, and it's the last Barmy's Army for 2016.
All right, I've gone with a very sentimental one here. I picked the 3 best players I played against, and the best 2
You've never played against me.
I have never played against Andrew Leonard. I played against Brenton Mann, who just missed the cut. But I'm going to go with Aaron Thornton from Elstonwick, who plays St John's. I know we mention him every week, but probably the best small forward I played against. And he's won the league goal kicking in several divisions throughout his time at the VAFA. Dimitri Dimakopoulos, an absolute gun over the ball. He played for St Francis Xavier and now, formerly Old Kerry. I think he's taken a year off. Multiple league best and fairest winner. Very strong at ground level, ball magnet. Then finally, Matt Keon from Nob St Pat's, another Division 1 player, but 4-time BNF, 2-time league best and fairest. I played against him in his final year and he was still very, very strong. 2 best players I played with, Andy Brazzali and Sam Bishop, who also played for St Kevin's.
Kinsale didn't Rachel mention?
He's pretty close. Sorry, Liam.
I thought he might have snuck in there. Will, good luck with your endeavours in London.
Thank you, Andrew.
We've loved having you on the Tragics. It's been great fun.
Has been.
We don't have any gifts for you at all. We just wanted to say thank you for
Where's
being
Marty's
on here.
wine?
Exactly right. We'll chat to you soon.
Thank you.
Nick, thanks again.
Thank you, Andrew.
Brenton,
Always a pleasure.
it's been great fun. Hope you've enjoyed the Tragics for another week. We'll see you again soon. Go Vicks as well.